I was the only child of this beautiful family. I was very comfortable and happy. My dad always took excellent care of his family. Nobody ever lacked anything. He had 3 siblings, 1 older brother, 1 younger brother and a younger sister named Auntie Ola. Whenever his siblings asked for help, my dad never failed to assist them. Among all my dad's siblings, I was most afraid of Auntie Ola. She seemed unfriendly and always kept to herself. She had lost her husband just last year, so our family tried hard to make her happy. Auntie Ola had 2 sons but no daughters, and she constantly reminded us how badly she wanted a girl. Some time ago, I overheard my dad arguing with his older brother, Nathan, in the living room. Uncle Nathan told my dad to marry a second wife because my mother had only given him a female child. My dad politely but firmly refused. He told his brother never to mention it again. He said he was content with me, Dami, and grateful to God. I grew up into a beautiful 18-year-old lady and graduated from high school. My parents' joy knew no bounds. They threw a massive party, and everyone ate and drank to their satisfaction. It all started on a Wednesday afternoon. I watched my life crumble before my eyes, and I was helpless. I was returning from an event with my parents when a speeding truck suddenly hit our car. I watched from the back seat as my parents took their last breaths. I wept and cried, but tears could not bring them back. The last thing I saw before I fainted was a stranger carrying my dad into an ambulance. 3 days later, I woke up in a hospital bed. Auntie Ola was sitting beside me, crying. 3 weeks later, we held the funeral. After that, it was time to face reality. I was staying in my parents' village house with Auntie Ola and her sons. One morning, my father's brothers arrived. They told me they needed to sell the house to recover the money spent on the funeral. Auntie Ola screamed at them, calling them shameless. She vowed never to let them sell the house. The situation turned violent. The uncles brought village hoodlums to chase us out. They threw Auntie Ola, her 2 sons, and me out of my father's house. With no other choice, we packed our few belongings and moved to Auntie Ola's house in the city. This happened barely 2 months after my parents were buried. Who would believe my uncles were this wicked? It was a shock. These were the people my dad gave everything to. Now, they wanted to sell his house to pay for his burial. I was only 19 and didn't know what to say, but I knew tough times were coming. My dad had deposited a large sum of money into my bank account on my 18th birthday. Only my mother knew about it. My parents had also told me their ATM pins long ago, but I hadn't seen their card since the accident. Life was not rosy. As a widow, Auntie Ola had 3 people to care for alone. I stopped eating the luxurious meals I was used to. We lived in a small 2-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of Enugu City. My parents' main mansion was in town, but I couldn't go there. The memories were too painful. One evening, I asked my cousins, Auntie Ola's sons, to accompany me to my parents' mansion to get some clothes. To my shock, my 2 uncles and their families had occupied the house. I immediately called my father's lawyer, Barrister Edward. I expected him to help, but I heard the meanest thing in my life. He told me that my father's eldest brother had the right to handle all properties because my dad had no male child. He lied and said that it was my dad's decisions. I knew immediately that they had bribed him. This was the same lawyer my father helped set up. In this life, most people truly cannot be trusted. I quietly picked up my clothes and left. When we told Auntie Ola what happened, she was furious. She wanted to go fight them, but she returned after a few hours looking defeated. Her dress was torn, and she looked as if her world had ended. We helped her inside, and she slept. That next day, she called a family meeting. She told us to forget the uncles and they agreed. She wanted to change her business. Selling umbrellas was seasonal. She wanted a business that made profit all year round. I couldn't sleep. My uncles had abandoned me, but the aunt I used to fear was the only one standing by me. I made a decision. I had some money in my secret account meant for my university fees. I wanted to study mass communication, but because of my uncle's wickedness, I decided to study law. I vowed to get back everything they took and send them back to the streets. The next morning, I suggested a food business to Auntie Ola. She could buy fresh food from local farmers and repackage it for the city. She loved the idea but lacked the capital. I told her, "I will give you 500,000 naira to support you." She cried and hugged me. Through her tears, I saw a woman who genuinely loved me. I swore I would succeed to repay her kindness. 2 weeks later, my aunt started her new business. I began studying for my JAMB exams with my cousin, Kin. 2 years later, I was a law student at the University of Nigeria. By my 4th year, things got very hard. My funds were gone. Tuition and rent had increased. I was feeding from hand to mouth. I couldn't ask Auntie Ola for help because she was already paying for Kin, who was studying architecture. I decided to defer my admission, drop out temporarily, to work and save money. I filled out the form and submitted it. I was heartbroken. My parents left so many assets, yet here I was, dropping out of school due to poverty. That evening, while packing, I found my favorite jeans. The same ones I wore on the day of the accident. I held them to my chest and cried. I had never washed them because they held the last memories of my parents. Suddenly, I felt something in the back pocket. I pulled it out. It was a new ATM card and a piece of paper stained with dried blood. On the paper were 4 digits in my mother's handwriting. This was the surprise she had mentioned right before the accident. She must have slipped it into my pocket moments before she died. I ran to the nearest ATM. I inserted the card and typed the PIN. When I checked the balance, my brain froze. The number of zeros after the 9 was so long I couldn't count them at a stretch. My mother was a wise woman. Even in death, she saved me. The next morning, I went to the bank to unblock the dormant account. Because my mother had made me a co-signatory, it was easy. I suddenly had enough money to finish school and open a law firm. I rushed back to the university office, collected my dropout form, and tore it into shreds. I finished school with top grades. On the day I was called to the bar, Auntie Ola wept tears of joy. She said, "It is finally time to show them you are the daughter of a lion." I didn't stop there. I applied to Harvard Law School in the USA for a course in criminal law and was admitted. Years later, I returned to Nigeria. I was ready. Firstly, I sued Barrister Edward for fraud, embezzlement, and forgery. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison, and his license was revoked. Secondly, I sued my uncles for fraud, theft, and attempted murder for the attack on Auntie Ola. Being a ruthless lawyer who knew her job, I won. They were sentenced to life imprisonment. Their wives came to beg for mercy, but I locked my gates. I built a massive shopping mall for my beautiful Auntie Ola. I also sent her on a fully paid vacation to the Maldives. She deserves the world. My cousin Kin is now a successful architect, and his office is in my building. The last born, Obina, is now studying medicine. Our house is full of professionals. Looking back, I realized that terrible things happen, but they do not mean the end. The death of my parents broke me, but it didn't destroy me. It doesn't matter what you are going through. What matters is the choice you make in the middle of the storm. Will you let it end you, or will you stand boldly and take your life back? The choice is yours.